I love the idea that we're capturing local voices.
People can come and press the button and listen to my dulcet tone.
Here's me, this is something that makes me special.
A pain that was a pipe that stretched me until I was the surgeon's outstretched arms.
We'll stack them all up, Ivor, an earthy rainbow remade.
We ran the project for the last 2 years during the pandemic, when it was really difficult and sometimes not possible at all to get into the space. But I think there was huge learning, and it was a really beautiful project in many ways, despite those challenges.
We kept opening up these virtual spaces to people, whilst also building on the digital website space, so people could reach in and know that we were there and connect with the project and the work.
Historically, LGBTQ+ people have been kind of erased from a lot of the histories that we would present. So it was just a case of kind of making sure that we're starting to combat that. So I think the biggest thing we've learned is that there's more than one way to queer a museum. So we've been given the space through this project to experiment with lots of different methods for doing that. So we've had artists producing wonderful commissions, we've had research volunteers coming in and researching some of the objects from the collections. We've obviously got this amazing interactive that's been produced for us. We've also been kind of laying the groundwork with our staff as well. So we've had training from Intercom Trust, just to make sure that everyone's kind of going from the same foundation so that we can really be particularly welcoming to our LGBTQ+ audiences. Queering RAM is an ongoing process, but we hope that this project leaves a legacy that ensures that LGBTQ+ heritage is represented and shared as part of our collective history.
I think one thing that was really great about this project is the sense that there were all these different strands. And I think we really started out by thinking, what does it mean to queer a museum like the RAM? A museum that is open to LGBTQ+ perspectives, but we haven't really done the work yet. So right now, there are thousands of objects and artifacts, but how they might relate to LGBTQ+ lives, experiences, past and present, is totally invisible. And so we said, well, we have to be really open, flexible, creative in trying to uncover all of this kind of richness that we can find. And so there was a really central artistic strand, so engaging with artists and drawing on creative methods to think about how might those collections speak to LGBTQ+ artists today. And in addition to that, and sometimes also I think in dialogue, we had a research strand, which I've been working on together with a wonderful group of LGBTQ+ research volunteers. And we've been working with this idea of what we call queer resonances. So the notion of there are a lot of different ways in which we might take an object and understand its relation to LGBTQ+ heritage and history.
A lot of the slides were sheet music for devotional hymns surrounding the crucifixion story, and I was predominantly really excited by the language in them, the devotional language, and this kind of Christian context of worship. This part, one of them is called "Nailed to the Bitter Wood." And this line here, like, "Child of my agonies bought with my blood." And it's all kind of like, it's really so heavy with imagery and so heavy with like desire, love, healing, protection, sacrifice. So all kind of like really big, weighty topics. Did you find the end in the night, when the damned would happen on the darkest part of each hour? Wind through rigging tight against the temple of your face, holding onto time in wrinkles. I wish I had known you, alone in my room, when the tide came in, and I thought I would never find a light. I am so grateful for the knowledge of you. That's what you say when you bless us. I don't know the answer to the fear that will upend, but you might. It's been really exciting getting not only to kind of experience an archive and to reclaim an archive and to see myself in an archive, but also to work with people who are trying to uncover similar narratives or see similar narratives, and it's been great to be part of that experience as a group with a shared way of being in the world.
What was inspiring about the sand, this is the first time I've ever seen the sand, when we were working on the project, it was all digital, and so I was like trolling around, to use a Polawi term, around the digital archives, and then found these sand samples and was really interested, and then saw who'd collected them, and it was a poet called Ivor Treby, who was around until 2012, I think, and was a gay literary activist and extremely well travelled, and he collected sand samples wherever he went, and so this box kind of represents his life's travels, and actually it's like quite moving, weird as an object, reading all the places he went, and he had particular collecting interests, I think. So for me, there's a kind of queerness to the way he collected. Some places he collected were like Roman bathhouses, and I think he was interested in the potential like queer subtexts of places like that, maybe centurions kind of, locking eyes across the steam and things. And also he would collect sand from quite unassuming places. So not only the kind of queer subtext in sexuality, but also queering the conventions of a museum in a way, or his own museum, by collecting some aggregate from a flower bed or a place on a hotel he stayed in. There's a sort of, an invitation to poetry about the kind of granularity of this sand that is one of the remnants of his life. So it's not his literal ashes, but it is a form, in a way, of ashes of his travels and where he went and what he was interested in. Misc, recent plant and mollusk debris, biotite, sparse light brown cleavage plates, subangular pebble, mick mineralogy corresponds with the granite rock of Machu Picchu. Weakly cemented soil-like clumps could indicate the material sampled is not in situ. Dear Ivor, let's imagine a ritual. The Andeans make a land payment offering to Pachamama, Mother Earth. The internet says Andean shamans are sometimes called vegetalistas, or just maestros of plant lore. To pay Pachamama, you wrap up offerings of chicha liquor, coca leaves, alpaca meat, potato. Then the maestro would burn them, send their smoke to the mountains, asking, please, please. But we're not maestros, you and I, are we? I've never even seen your sand, your face, communing over time and space through a spreadsheet of what's been chucked away. For me, being part of this project has given me the opportunity to deepen my interest in museums and collecting, and what's in a museum, what's not in a museum, the stories that objects tell. And this particular object was such a great invitation to do so. Because it's a record of one person's life, but it's also an invitation to find out about Ivor Treby and what he represented and the things that he lived through, and to be connected with the other artists who are making work and see the different directions that this kind of poem in objects, as I like to think of it, as a museum, the different directions that everyone went in with their explorations too.
Know that when you breathe wrong, they will send you to Coba, to Pentonville, to a doctor's couch or a holy man's lounge. We steal the skin of others to survive, silenced without a knife, and history pretends to not know our name.
This is a cup that has travelled between countries and continents, taken from its homeland to another, just like me. It's a communal object that brings people together in the home and on every street corner in Pakistan, where a gaggle of people converse amidst the steam.
Welcome to the Matchbox Cabaret, where the walls taste like sugar and the beer tastes like arse, but the world is bigger in here, so we like it. Where tiny people get to feel big for the night, and tall women burn their hearts onto others.
There are roots stretching far underground. Vegetables are growing underground, picked and eaten by people who live underground. There is a sea of mud and a ship's captain laying telegram cables underground.
So sorry.
I kind of assumed that there wasn't any queer heritage happening, and to find out there was, and that it's been so community involved and, you know, queer led as well, it's been wonderful. So it's been very affirming.
I've walked through the RAM a lot, right? And as you walk through, there's different areas that you can feel connection with, and then knowing that there's going to be something here that is directly linked with my community, and I can be part of that. You know, it's very visual, it's beautiful and bright, and as you walk through, it's such a positive connection.
I think often there aren't those spaces to have conversations about LGBTQ plus heritage and history, and so kind of really opening up that space and the conversation has been really lovely.
What I love is that none of the objects are like obviously gay, if you know what I mean. It's you know, in some cases it's relating to the very everyday. So hopefully that will help us to connect with people that may not identify as LGBT but recognise some of the humanity coming through the story.
For me, it's the legacy of it. It's that it's going to be a permanent exhibition, that it's not just for a week, because a lot of the time I work for the Intercom Trust, I'm the CEO, and the LGBT charity, and a lot of the stuff that we get involved is just only lasts a few weeks, or it's a pride event or something like that. And that this is going to be permanent, and that we've been part of that is just fantastic.
We watched blossom take flight, a handprint apart. Our minds not cooled, thinking only of warm kisses, greedily taken in shadows like hungry little birds. They were sweet, sweeter than milk or honey. Some days turtle doves line our view, distract us from what we cannot speak, moving freely across cloudless sky. We are a handprint apart.